The next step of our process is to download the applications that we need. Now we're going to find this whole concept of downloading each of these are going to be very, very similar. So I'm only going to show how to do one of these, and the concept you're going to find is going to be very repetitive. It's going to be pretty much the same thing. So I'm going to choose this AutoCAD Civil 3D. I'm going to click on this. Sometimes when you go to the screen, item 2 will be completely grayed out where you can't select on any of these. And what that basically means is that the page loads quicker before it can recognize that you've actually logged in. Like item 1 will prompt you to have to log in again. So what I did was I clicked back, and then I clicked back on the software that I wanted, and if it still was gray, I just kind of went back and forth. In other words, I clicked back and then clicked on the link again, and then if this was still grayed out, I clicked back, and then I had to do that about 3 times until I got to this, until it finally recognized that I have successfully signed in. I don't know why Autodesk's website is that way, but it just is what it is, I guess. So once it says you have successfully signed in as a function of going back and forth, then we'll go ahead and move on to number 2 here where it says select free software you want. So here we want the 2015. Under language we want English, and under operating system we want to choose 64-bit. And once that happens, once we've completed all of these boxes, you should get something that looks like this down here towards the bottom. So it says an email containing the license information above has been sent to you. Important license information, while that version of software incorporates all. You can go ahead and read through all of this. Basically what I do want to mention is that these serial numbers will only work with this download. So in other words, if you have a copy of Civil 3D 2015 somewhere and try to put these serial numbers into that application, it will not work. So these serial numbers are bound to your particular download. So you cannot use someone else's download and your serial numbers. It will not work. So you'll actually have to download your own copy. You can't borrow someone else's download, unfortunately. I'm sorry. You'll have to download your own and then get your own serial numbers. And the same is true if your neighbor wants to use your serial numbers on their download, it will not work. So you'll need to get your own set of serial numbers and your own download. So before we actually start the download process, and that'll start when I click on this install now, the first thing that I need to do is copy and paste my serial numbers here and kind of set up my file management a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open Notepad, and there's several ways to do it. My favorite way is just to press the Windows and the R key on the keyboard and then just type in Notepad here. So it's just a plain text editor. I'm just going to move this over to the side, and I'm just going to highlight all of this and do a Control C. And then over here in Notepad I'm going to do a Control V, which will paste my serial numbers in here. And then I need to save this. The reason why I'm doing this is because let's just say that my computer gets infected and my system image backup will not work. It means that I'm going to have to reinstall this. And for whatever reason, another instance where we may need to reinstall this is when, let's just say that we find that Civil 3D is corrupted and we have to reinstall it. Then it will prompt us again for our serial numbers and our product key. So I want to make sure that I keep this so I don't have to go back out here and spend a lot of time, logging in, clicking backward and forwards to get to this page. So up here I'm going to go to File and do a Save As, and I'm going to save this to my backup drive. So that happens to be my D drive, and I'm going to put it inside of my X directory. X is just something that I mentally know that I need to back up. I'm going to go into Software, and in here I need to create a new folder, and I'm going to call this Autodesk. And inside of Autodesk, I'm going to create another new folder called 2015. And then inside of 2015, I'm going to create a new folder called Civil 3D. And maybe I won't stick it inside of the Civil 3D folder. Maybe I'll put it inside the 2015 folder. And I created a folder called Civil 3D because that's what I'm doing right now. I'm getting ready to download Civil 3D 2015. So I'm going to save it here, and this is where I'm going to just copy and paste all of my serial numbers. It's going to go into this Notepad file. So I'm just going to call this serial numbers and click Save. So now if I go File Save As, I can see that my serial numbers are located inside of this 2015 directory, and that for every product that I'm going to go out and download, I'll just keep updating this notepad file here that will have all of the serial numbers that I'm using. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize that window. So now that I have my directory structure set up and I've saved my serial numbers, I can click on this Install Now button. And we should get something that looks like this, and this is the license agreement. So I'm just going to scroll through it really fast. I honestly don't know who actually reads these. I'm going to click I accept, and then I'll click install. And once I click install, I accept and install, I'll get a little prompt where I want to save this to. So I've already set up my directory structures, recall from earlier. So I'm just going to click on this PC, and I'm looking for my backup drive. And I've been saving things to this X directory, which is a mental note for me to check when I do backups each time. And it's going to go into software, it's going to go into Autodesk, and it's going to go into 2015 and Civil 3D. So I'm just going to create a new folder here, and I'm going to call this the download. That way I know which file is which. And I'm going to click save. And of course this can take quite a while to download sometimes. Down here on the lower left you'll see a little button here that appears. I'm not going to click on the button. I'm going to click on the thing that's next to it, the little arrow. I'm going to click on that. And then I want to show in folder, and this will show me where it downloaded to. So in here I download it to Civil 3 and I call it the download. So this is actually the downloader. This is going to be a way for me to connect to Autodesk and securely download this. So what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to double click on this. You may be prompted with a user account control where it's asking you, do you want to allow this application to make changes to your computer? I'm going to go ahead and click yes to that. And this may take a little while. Eventually you'll get something that looks like this that will open. So from here I'll go ahead and click allow. And once we click allow, we should get a window that appears like this. And this is going to take us to the actual install.